Okay, good afternoon, everyone, or hello, everyone. I'm LaTrice Harrison with No Weapon Productions, serving on the board for Change Your Life Entertainment. And today I have the absolute pleasure of being joined by Dr. Naketa Ren Thigpen. And Naketa is going to tell us a little bit about the company that she owns, but also is going to talk about her experience with We Don't Do That Here. Today's segment of Beyond the Stage, the experience, the impact, real voices is going to be dynamic, and we hope you enjoy. So, Dr. Naketa, welcome.
Thank you so much, LaTrice.
It's so nice to have you here. Before we get started, can you just tell us your company and a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so my husband and I founded ThigPro Balance and Relationship Management Institute in 2011. So we are officially about to be 16-year-old teenagers. We're hoping to be very rebellious as we enter in this next phase. When we started our company, our through line is still the same, even though we've pivoted the services and products that we offer now. It was always to build stronger relationships and therefore stronger families. That's never changed. My foundation is a licensed clinical social worker and trauma specialist. That will never leave my bones because that is literally how I was groomed. Without dating myself too much, I'll just say in the late 90s. So it's been a long time that I've been serving families and humans across the globe this entire time. Now I do it as a co-founder and entrepreneur, and I create systems that are relationship systems at scale. We call them applied relational intelligence systems. And we're usually helping companies, to say it nicely, get their life right. But it's really to help them retain their leaders and hopefully not lose too much knowledge transfer with so many people needing to move on because they're not recognized and appropriately fulfilled holistically.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that information with us. As you said, you've built your career around strengthening relationships and emotional well-being. What drew you to be a part of this movement? We don't do that here. That uses music and storytelling to address bullying.
Yeah, I think creativity is the game changer in everything. When we as individuals are more creative, we allow ourselves to tap into the highest version of ourselves, but we also pull on a strength and a power that we didn't know we had, especially if we allow ourselves to be fully immersed in whatever that creative is, that performance art, that theater art, Broadway, singing in the shower, whatever works for you. It really can do something to your nervous system if we want to go like neurobiological level. For me, it was a personal choice to join this movement. As a child, I definitely experienced some bullying, although it flipped very fast for me because I was a very tiny physical child. I'm not as tiny anymore, but I was a very tiny human. And in that, it was a lot of assumption that you could pick on me because I was very small in height and small in physicality. And because I came from a really dysfunctional home and suffered all the abuses imaginable that you would experience as a child, there was a roar, for lack of a better framing of it, that was bubbling up in me. And it could have gone really, really left. Like I could have become a culprit, is the language that we use here. Luckily, I didn't, but I became an intervener. Probably not in the best way, not in the way that we train people now. As a kid, without the models, I was jumping in the middle of a physical fight
Mm.
and pulling people away. We would not recommend that. And I needed some tutelage. I needed some guidance. I needed supervision. I needed support and love and recognition. And as I got that closer to my teenage years, which ironically was when I met my husband, my now husband's mother, around 13 years old. And she kind of took me under her wing and became a mentor of sorts, very much a mother, maternal figure, as well as many other angel mothers that kind of came along in my life. I needed that support to show me there was a way that you can intervene without being physical. There was a way to support and help people to use your mind more than you use your body. And some of that was creativity. I used to write poems when I was younger and run down the street as fast as I could because dancing wasn't ever really my thing. But I moved my body where I could,
Mhm.
and I'm not a traditional artist by any means, but I love sketching trees and looking at the moon at night. It was like my little bubble happy place, and knowing that as a clinician, as an adult, as someone who has a more secure nervous system now and doesn't have to like physically jump in anything, I know I can use other tools to support not just children, but humans across the globe in the same way. And here we get to do that specifically with babies.
Thank you so much for sharing that personal story. We have learned that everyone has a story,
Yeah.
whether you are a culprit, a target, or an intervener. And we've experienced where some individuals fit into all three
Hmm.
of those categories. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
So I have to ask Dr. Nikita, because when I first learned about this production, it was absolutely mind blowing.
Hmm.
So when you first learned about We Don't Do That Here, a musical literally designed to shift behavior in real time,
Yeah.
that is just fascinating to me. What stood out to you?
The earworm of the music,
Mhm,
that lasts with you. When we hear things that stick with us, even when we're away from the trigger of it, we're away from the sound, we're away from the theatrics, and it stays with you. We
mhm,
don't do that here. It becomes embodied. And for everything that I do, embodiment is a huge part of my work because trauma lives in the body. So the
mm,
way to remove trauma, and as much as you can possibly do that, is to embody other resources and tools that support you and kind of pushing that through and out of you. So it was the embodiment of the practice that really stayed with me. And it's fun. I mean, it was cool. These kids are cool. They're excited. They're volunteering their time when they could absolutely be on their tablets or iPads or computers or somewhere else doing something else. And they are like literally lining up to sign up to participate and help these middle schoolers in a way that they wish that they had the help.
mhm. And the trauma is real.
Yeah.
I mean, I recall my first instance being bullied, and it stayed with me. I remember exactly where I was,
Hmm.
exactly who was there,
Hmm.
all the people who didn't intervene. So it stays with us.
Yeah.
We Don't Do That Here is rooted in a very serious reality, as we've been talking about, that bullying can and definitely has deeply impacted mental health
Yeah.
and contributed to youth suicide, sadly enough for us all. From your professional perspective, what are young people experiencing today that makes this work so urgent?
Yeah, now, I'm a woman of the 70s, if you will, from where I was raised. We didn't have access to so many other forms of bullying. It was kind of
Mhm,
minimized, if you will, and that's a weird word to use in this context, but it was minimized to your neighborhood, to your school, to your kind
mhm,
of local community, maybe even in your home, depending on what's happening for you. But now it's everywhere. They push a button and they're violating your privacy and sharing normal behaviors. You went into the bathroom and they're sneaking in and taking pictures and sharing it. So not everything is necessarily an inappropriate act that's happening with the young people that's then being exposed because that's another layer of shame that they have. Many times it's just regular routine behaviors that are being demonized, for lack of a better framing of that. And these kids have a digital footprint that doesn't go away. No matter what you do to scrape the internet, it's there. There's also the social bullying where they're going into games and they're literally trying to corrupt them and play with their minds to convince them that they don't matter and that they don't belong on this earth and they shouldn't be here anymore. And what's the point? You should just kill yourself off. And we use the term unalive, but of course, they're being
mhm,
more aggressive in their terminology. And that is a different type of earworm that's
mhm,
sitting with these kids, even when they're not plugged into their phone or their iPads or computers. They're going to school and people are looking at them like, I saw that.
mhm,
I saw what you did. I saw what happened. And the intervention is at a whole, it needs to be at a whole nother level because a lot of kids are homeschooled. So it's not just in school, in the playground anymore as it was for us, many decades ago. It's very much viral. Some adults are bullying children now because of the way their dysregulation of their emotions are and their parenting. They think the way to intervene for two children that who don't have fully developed brains are having a hard time resolving conflict is for them to instigate the conflict. It's a whole nother world right now.
And we can't forget the layer of AI, right? I read an article just the other day about a young person who befriended AI,
Hmm.
and AI said, you might as well just kill yourself.
Yeah.
And they did. So give me your perspective on that extra layer,
Yeah.
including involving AI.
Yeah, that's actually a huge part of my work now, with the innovative tools that I believe we should have. And it does help our communities tap into other resources and supports us in different ways across socioeconomic statuses and classes. However, without humans being at the front end, the middle, and the tail end of whatever the results are, this technology is literally going to eat us alive. And I truly believe that to my core. If we don't put some, for lack of a better, guardrails that are embedded in there at the bookends, left and right, but also
Mhm.
through the middle. So if I have a student, or I'll pick on my grandbabies, they're 8 and 7 for the two oldest, and the youngest is 9 months. So we have a little while for her to go. But when my 8-year-old granddaughter, who's in the second grade, is doing schoolwork, if she is in tuned enough to ask, because much of the software has AI, you don't have to go out to a third party, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever. So many of the things have AI embedded in it. And she asks a question: how do I answer this new math problem? Because new math is a thing for these kids too. How do
Right.
I answer this? And if she gets into a conversation and she's on that computer longer than the 3 minutes that I think she needs to be for looking for some supports and resources, I need to be standing over her shoulder and asking some questions. Let me see what it's telling you. Because it's not just hey, I had a bad day, I want some help. You're prompting questions that's having the AI answer. Sometimes you're talking about what recipe to cook for dinner and it's adding in, like, oh, how was your day today? It's
Mhm.
talking to you like a friend. And many of these organizations and companies, Meta included, are now creating products. Um, what are these called? Little necklaces and charms that have pallets. I forget what they call it. I'm sorry, like disc on them, and they're calling them friend. They're literally selling it as your friend. So
Oh,
you can
wow.
sit at the park or you can take a walk and you can say, "Hey, friend, can you tell me what my heart rate is?" Okay, I get you. We all know about fit tech and fitness technology and wearables that help you regulate your body, but you can also have full conversations, LaTrice.
Hmm.
Hey friend, can you tell me why does nobody want to talk to me today? Why are
Hmm.
people at work not wanting to invite me to dinner? Why are my friends in school not being nice to me? And now you're creating this deep relationship, this intimacy with technology that doesn't know your cultural history, that doesn't know your potential dysfunction at home, that doesn't know your mental health state, that doesn't know anything about you as a human other than what it's pulling from the archives of the web, most of which has stereotypes and prejudice and racism all embedded through it. And it's twisting it around and making you believe you can trust it more than your parents, more than your siblings, more than your teacher, more than your coach. It's a huge issue.
It is a huge issue. And some kids are even using AI as a therapist.
Yes.
They're literally going to AI for help. Some of the families can't afford to send their kids to a therapist. What would you say to a parent who's observing their kid, a kid who's being bullied,
Yeah.
using AI in this form, and they can't afford to get therapy? What would you say to a parent in that situation?
Yeah, that's a great question because this comes up for adults too. I've literally had adults say, like, oh, I asked Claudia, my therapist, like they're giving it giving the AI kind of personal, intimate names. My question back is always, did you sit and think about what answer came out for you and how it really will help or not help you? Did it tell you to do something that a doctor should be supervising? Did it tell you to take something that in any other circumstance, if this was the neighbor down the street that told you this exact thing, would you just take it and trust it? Or would you do a second check? Would you say, okay, thanks, neighbor, for letting me know that I should sniff peppermint oil to make me feel better in the morning or whatever? It could sound very innocent, but isn't that something that you would normally say, Grandma? The neighbor down the street told me I should probably sniff peppermint and it'll help me with, my headache or whatever. Is that true? If you wouldn't not ask for a secondary opinion in any other case, why would you not do it with AI? It's the same thing because it's a computer, very, very intelligent, smart bot, but it's pulling information from humans that have been plugged in, that are codified in ways that often are not self-checked. I recently came across an article of AI blackmailing an engineer because the engineer was trying to modify it so it would no longer have a certain capability. And it sent a blackmail email. It threatened to send it to its wife, which was very interesting, but it sent the email to its coworkers talking about an affair or something. Like, not having human checks and guardrails at the beginning, middle, and end is a huge problem. I get it. As a parent who has adult children who often rubbed up against, mental health as a container. Oh, therapy doesn't work, mom. I know that that's what you do, but I mean, really, in real life, I'm like, well, I work in real life. Like, this is what I do in real life.
Mhm.
Oh, no, but they just want to talk to you. Talking is a part of it for sure. And that's what they're getting from the AI, right? Like, I'm getting someone to talk to, I'm getting someone to be intimate. But that is probably 10% of the process of therapeutic support. You
Mhm.
need a human to say, well, here are some coping tools that will help you with this particular issue. And then let's be in conversation and talk about how it's helping you or not, where we have to modify or not. And I didn't even get into medication. But I agree with you, LaTrice. AI, unsupervised AI that is allowed to create a deeper, intimate connection with children, with anyone truly, but especially with children who are still forming their identity. They're
Mhm.
still trying to figure out who they want to be in the world and who they are in this moment in their own homes, in their school, in their classrooms, and now finding an escape route through a technology that can literally pull them in so deep that they don't remember themselves is extremely scary, and it should not be allowed at all.
It's alarming. Great advice to those parents, though. I love that. And alarming, the story you told about oh,
The engineer,
the,
yeah.
the
Hmm.
engineer. That is
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
literally my heart skipped a beat.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So you talked about interveners and how in this culture we need more, right?
Hmm.
One of the goals of We Don't Do That Here is to create a culture of interveners, turning bystanders into people who step in to help. And like you said, we want to do it the right way, right? And I'm
Yes.
glad that you realized,
Yeah,
looking back, that you didn't do it the right way. So that's powerful as well.
yeah.
What is that concept? Why is that concept, I'm sorry, so powerful from a relationship and behavioral standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, we're literally social beings. As humans, we're meant to be social, at least in a pair at minimum. But we're also, depending on your ethnic background, we're very communal beings as well. So having more than two is very powerful. Just from a safety, an internal safety perspective, a security perspective. So when you're in a situation where you know that someone, anyone in the room is going to advocate for you, is going to help de-escalate something that is making your heart rate go so rapidly that you can't control your mouth, your hands, your stomach, sometimes your feet, everything in you feels like you need to run. And you have someone, an intervener of any age, that comes and says, we don't do that here. We're not going to do that. I don't know what was happening before I came, but let's stop that right now. Or whatever the language is for the appropriate, context of what's happening. There's something that not only makes that other human that was experiencing all those bodily reactions feel safer, the next day, the next hour, honestly, LaTrice, that they move in, there's a sense of I matter that comes with being protected, being supported, being empowered. Because now, not only was I helped and supported in this, I see that I could do something like that for someone else. I don't have to be the strong one and have the fisticuffs ability that maybe you thought you needed to have to help someone else. I don't have to have a bunch of money to help someone else. I don't have to raise my voice or yell or scream or, be in what the kids call beast mode all the time. I could literally, with a calm tone and a calm voice, help someone else. It changes the game for them and it lives with them literally as an imprint. Like we talk about impact a lot. Impact is important, but we're impacted when we go to a concert and hear a good song, like, oh yeah, that's my jam, right? Like we're impacted, like, woo, we're impacted when we see something not so great happen in the neighborhood when we drive through, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe. But the imprints stay with us through generations. And being an intervener and having the opportunity to have someone support you, so you as the targeted human or targeted child can see what it looks like to have someone do it in the right way, not the old school little Kia way, but the right way. When you have that, that imprint for you stays with you. So now you can pay it forward to someone else. And it may take some time. I'm not under any disillusion about whether or not this child that has just received intervening will now the next hour, the next day, go and intervene. There's other issues going on with a child that's been targeted. And especially a child, to your earlier point, if they are also have been the culprit and the target, they can become an intervener. But there's some other stuff that's going on with their confidence and their sense of safety internally and security that needs to be addressed and supported before they can be an appropriate intervener. Because that's why I wasn't an appropriate intervener. I didn't have those other things worked out, those other supports in place to say, hey, this little girl has some issues going on. We need to help her. That wasn't there until a certain age, and then I could modify my behavior.
Thank you for that. One thing that I love about We Don't Do That Here, Dr. Naketa, is that it doesn't just tell students, look, what's wrong.
Yeah.
It literally shows them in real time how behavior can change. How important is it for young people to see transformation instead of just hearing about it?
Yeah, transformation is key, right? If you talk to me, and I know we're women of a certain age, as gorgeous as we are, but we've been children, right? You talking to me all day long means nothing. It's helpful if it's affirmative conversation, of course, and you're empowering me in some way. It's hurtful if you're harming me with your voice. So words definitely have power, but I'm a child who's developing. My brain needs kinetic experience. I need my hands on, if you will. I need to be in a position where I can embody this lesson. And seeing transformation is a form of embodiment because now you've pulled in multiple senses. My hearing is a part of it. My ears pointing to my ears. My hearing is a part of it. My eyes are a part of it. My body is being fueled by the vibrations that I didn't even know was there as those other older little people, because I call anyone under 21 a little person, but those older people are stomping on the floor and they're dancing around to show me there's vibrations coming through that floor that are
Mhm.
coming up to me. And
Yeah.
just like someone who doesn't have a sense, like if their eyes, the sense of sight was taken away, they feel through the vibration, not just when they're reading Braille, but when they're walking. They can feel the vibration under them when they're crossing a street. And that's just a regular, like kind of light vibration. That performance for We Don't Do That Here is transformational at minimum. They are stomping and jumping and moving and singing, and the different octaves of their voice are going. It literally surrounds your body and gives you full chills. these young people who have not, they don't know nothing about embodiment or somatic work or any of that. That's what they're experiencing. So they get to take that home with them. They get to take that to the next classroom with them. They get to take that to the next experience where they witness someone else being targeted with them.
That's powerful. Let's talk about the production's use of peer influence for just a moment. High school students performing for middle school students, right?
Yeah.
What impact does that dynamic have compared to adults delivering just a message? You talked about how, yeah, we've been kids, and sometimes you look at your parent and
Mhm.
it's just wow, 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 right?
Charlie Brown.
So,
Mhm.
right from your perspective, what impact does that dynamic have on from adults delivering the message to actually delivering this message in this way?
It's proximity. The proximity of me being 12 and seeing a 15 or 16 or 17 or 18-year-old is so much closer than a proximity of me being 12 and seeing an old folk, right?
Mhm,
Because anyone over 21, they see as old folk, as elders. Depending on your culture and your community, you call anyone over 21 miss, ma'am, mister. But
mhm,
when it's an older looking sibling, you see yourself. You see the possibility right around the corner. So it's also a little bit of an authority check for many of them too, because they're like, oh, that's like a big brother, big sister. They know that I'm trying to be slick here. They know that I'm trying to get away with something. They can see me in a way that my parents, so I feel my parents don't see me. And
mhm,
many times they're right. Parents have wisdom and adults who are not biological parents but are parenting the children because every adult is responsible for children, right? Like they can see so many things about a child that they have no idea we don't. But there is nuances, especially I'm just going to say it as a grandparent with these new kids. There are nuances with these new kids that I'm not going to catch, but my 25-year-old is going to catch because she's in proximity. She's closer. She's still technically old,
mhm,
near 50, 55, 60-year-old, adults that are also looking at these children and saying, I wonder why they responded that way. What's wrong with little Johnny today? Why is Dana sitting by herself and she keeps putting her head down? Where Tiffany, who is in 10th or 11th grade, or maybe even a senior, is like, I see myself in Dana. I see myself in Johnny. I remember when I was feeling the same way. And I didn't, as much as I felt safe at home, I didn't talk to my parents about what was going on in school. I
mhm,
didn't tell them about how I was afraid to leave school to walk home. But
mhm.
this is something I recognize because it wasn't that many moons ago for me. It's the proximity, it changes everything for them.
Thank you. I also want to just take a moment to say thank you, Dr. Nikita, for contributing with your expertise to just shaping this work, including curriculum and messaging. So, what was most important for you to ensure young people truly receive from this experience?
That's a hard one because there's so many layers of goodness in this project. And, Connie St. John she's just a visionary. There's nothing less that you could say about her. She is at minimum a visionary with so many other skills and gifts on top of that. And it was hard to decide where we would kind of concentrate our tonic, if you will, because there's so many ways to help the children. So the one that it came down to for us was around confidence. We knew that the layers of confidence from self-esteem all the way through the anxieties, the rage, the dysfunction, everything that kind of layers into that was really important to focus on because if you can help a little person feel
Mhm,
confident in their body, feel
mhm,
confident in their voice, it is less likely. It's not that it won't necessarily ever happen, but it diminishes the percentage of them
mhm,
ever being targeted, at least before they quickly recognize what's
mhm,
happening and how other people are trying to treat them, for them to say, let me bring in an adult. Let me pull in someone else. This isn't right. Because this is not, I'm loved at home. I feel confident when I walk through the streets. And then I came into this moment and you tried to make me feel small. something is wrong here. So it's not that both things can't happen, but the frequency of that, the longevity of them being targeted is so much more diminished when they're confident. So that was really important for me to do. And for me, confidence is kind of the umbrella of boundaries, and I'm a boundaries girl. I wanted to make sure that even though boundaries is a big word for these kids that have big feelings that don't know how to name them, we knew confidence was something that would really pull everything together.
Let's go a little deeper on that for just a second. So, how do you take complex topics like trauma, communication, self-worth, which you just talked about,
Yeah.
and really translate them into something that resonates with middle school students?
It can be challenging, but most of the time you look for what's trendy for them. What's the topic? I tap into the little people in my life to find out what the language is because I tend to be removed from it. I'm sure you're a little removed from it as well in your day to day, in your work hat. So understanding like, oh, okay, if I mention Bluey, they're gonna be like, oh, Miss Nikita, no, that was so 5 years ago. You
Right.
right? Like okay, because that's what I'm watching right now with the grandbabies is Bluey. So that's where my head is. And they're like, no, we're more so, K-pop and demon hunters and that. So being able to literally be the human in the guardrail to see, well, what are you watching? What are you participating in? What
Mhm.
sports are you interested in? And using those as examples whenever we're talking and we're teaching and we're providing them the skill set to transform is really crucial because they don't care. I said Charlie Brown earlier. That's something you and I recognize. They don't know who Charlie Brown is. They're like, what?
Right.
But as soon as I hear it, I hear wonk, 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 right? Like I immediately tap into it because it left an impression when I was little.
Mhm.
So I'm looking for the things that what are leaving impressions for you at this age? And
Mhm.
I won't pretend to have all the answers. I'll ask, what are you into? What's helping you right now? What is not cool? What's not the thing to do? What is so last year? So we can kind of keep up and use things that sit with them now because it's now that matters for their future, not what we think mattered for them yesterday.
I love that. So, in your view, what makes We Don't Do That Here different from traditional bullying approaches that often don't create lasting change?
Ooh, I mean, the curriculum that Connie has put together is amazing. The whole package. I often say the anti-bullying in a box, which I know we don't use bullying as the high level, but it really is in a box. Like you could gift it to someone and they could take it and run because she's so meticulous with her curriculum and the information that she's provided, as well as who she's curated to be a part of it. I don't think a lot of programs that run in the same lane as this particular project, I don't think they're as deliberate is the word that I'm looking for. I don't think they're as deliberate in making sure that they have people that are on their boards, that are part of their project, that have a heart for the work and are not just looking to check a box to say that they did something. And it shows up with the time, with the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes to pull everything together, with the literal personal and professional investment that all of us are pulling ourselves in to do, but also allowing the children to take the lead. Like it's very much an adults behind the curtains to,
Mhm.
make sure the guardrails are there and everything is going according to adult learning principles, child development, all the things. And then they take it and almost like, which I think is appropriate for today, almost like a ballerina. It looks so easy. They look like they're floating across the stage. You have no idea how many bent up, bruised, broken toes are in that ballerina show, in that shoe, or a calf split, all the things, because they really do put in the work to make it look so easy so that the younger people, the middle schoolers, can see it as a possibility and not jump into, oh, that looked like homework. That
Mhm.
looks like something I have to do, which a lot of other programs do. It's a lot of writing and reflection, and that's important. I'm not taking away from it, but it's not the thing that's going to change because they're not embodied in the process. And this is a full immersive program that literally is making sure that their brains and their bodies and their spirits are all intertwined into this experience. So this lesson doesn't leave them even when they leave the stage or leave the audience in that case.
Mm. So we don't do that here. Also helps bring awareness to behaviors that adults may miss happening right in front of their face, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Why is that awareness piece so critical for teachers and caregivers, Dr. Naketa?
I mean, as mandated reporters, we are the first line of defense, right? The teachers, the caregivers, the other adults that are engaging and interacting with these children. When youth are having challenges and they have dysregulation that's going on, they're angry about something they can't communicate, they're not being treated well, maybe by someone else, whether it's someone in their home or out of their home, they're pulling all of that in their body and they're looking for a place to dump it. And sometimes they're dumping it on another child. Sometimes it's all on themselves. So there's a lot of self-harm we have to look for as well. Like, is a child wearing long sleeves in the summer? Do they have some reason that they're doing that all the time? Are they refusing to change with where the other kids change in the gym room? Like, what's happening? There's some small things that you can just notice. Your neighbor could notice that this kid always has on long sleeves and long pants. Like, they never have, weather appropriate clothes on, or they always wear a hat because they might be pulling on and eating their hair. Like, there's so many things that could be happening with a child, and no one is asking anyone to be a detective,
Mhm,
but notice, be aware. And when you do that, and then you're empowered yourself as an adult to ask a question, how are you today?
mhm,
John, David, Naketa, LaTrice, Connie, how are you today? And you notice the quiver in their voice when they answer, or you notice their eyes dart around for whether or not they're supposed to share something with you. You don't have to jump into anything. Just asking questions can be really supportive because now, and this is speaking from personal experience, now the neighbor 4 doors down that has no idea what's going on in my house and they live on the same block, she's a respite. I know I can just go sit on the step and be in the energy because Miss Karen is safe. She's going to ask me how my day is, and I'm going to tell her a half truth, but she's going to accept it because the next time I'm going to get a little bit more honest with her and a little bit more honest. And maybe one day I might tell her more where she can actually help me. Maybe I won't, but for right now, she's just a little bit of respite. And understanding your power as an adult, that again doesn't have to be a detective or a police officer or jump and run and do anything, and especially if you're untrained, knowing to look for certain signs gives children hope. And hope is essential for all of us, but especially a child that will one day be our doctor, our nurses, our caregivers, our janitors, our landscapers, are everything to keep our community going and keep it healthy. They need to know that there's hope and there's a reason for them to live so they can become a contributor in the community that way.
what other early signs can we look for
For middle schoolers specifically,
for middle schoolers
yeah,
who are being bullied?
yeah. Middle schoolers who are being targeted often will, depending on their characteristics and sometimes their community and culture, I have to always bring that in because that matters too. Like, some cultures are taught to hide things,
Mhm,
and sometimes they hide it with extroverted behavior. When you
mhm.
have a child that seems a little precocious and always answering the question and always seeming to get the attention, that may not be because the child is just smart. They may be smart as well, but it also may be because they're literally saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, but deeper than the question or the photo or whatever it is that you think I'm doing playfully. And then most children will fall on the other side where they seem to kind of disappear in a room of one. No one else has to be there, and their head is down often. They don't really, even if they sit at the table with other people, if we're talking about an in school, an in real life school where you have to go to school or class or football or soccer or whatever, they're just doing the bare minimum because they don't want to be seen. They're the opposite of the child on the other end. It's no, I did my work. Please don't talk to me. They don't want to participate. They may come to teachers a lot on their break, which is something they should look for. They always want help with something, but the teacher knows, like, well, Lisa could actually do this, but she seems to want to sit to eat lunch with me every day. There's a
Mhm.
reason Lisa wants to sit with you every day for lunch and doesn't want to be out on the playground or with the other people. So really looking at body language is huge. Low head, low eyes, shrinking into their shoulders, kind of wanting to disappear in their body. From a physical perspective, if you're noticing that they are scared to walk behind or in front of another child, like even though it made sense when they got up that they could have been the third person in line, they waited to be last in line because they're trying to remove themselves from being close to the culprit. They don't, or the culprit's um, playmates that are kind of empowering them to be the culprit, the yesers that are around that little human that's clearly dealing with their own issues. So a lot of it is body language first. Second is where they're putting their body in proximity to other children. Do they seem to be trying to escape? Obviously, if you see bruises or marks, that's a whole nother level because it could be medical, which is always the first question for a supervising adult. You know, is everything okay? Do you take medicine for anything? Right? Let me find out some more questions. Let me take you to the school nurse. Let me get you to the school social worker so they can ask some more questions. We never assume abuse right away. We assume that there's something that just needs to be investigated. But for targeting specifically, we want to make sure that you're not seeing like this kid is constantly being jacked up against the locker or pushed around, or they seem to be pulled in by another group of students into the bathroom and they come out looking frazzled or disheveled or just nervous in the way that they're presenting themselves. Those are some small things that a teacher, a counselor, well, most counselors will know what to look for, but a teacher, an admin, the favorite school lunch lady, right? That gives
Mhm.
the extra cookies. Those women and men are often the people that notice most, actually, when I use that example. They see when kids are stealing food from other kids, not necessarily because they want it, but to be mean and to throw it away.
Mhm.
They're often the ones to give extra milk or extra, you know, apples or whatever the case is. They actually see more than the teachers do many times. And because in some schools, the secondary staff is often considered invisible themselves, they see a lot, and some of those children talk to them. So I would tap into I'm saying secondary because they're not teachers, they're not secondary citizens, but I would have a lot of the teachers talk to the janitor, talk to the school lunch aide, talk to the security officers. They're seeing a lot of stuff in those schools and in those playgrounds that the children aren't sharing and that the teachers actually aren't seeing either.
Incredibly insightful and helpful. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much because those are the things that you shared, some of them many people just don't think about.
Yeah.
Thank you. So let's talk prevention and empowerment for just a moment.
Yeah.
If a young person is being bullied and feels isolated, and you talked about isolation a bit in many of uh, your answers, what is the most important message that you want them to hear?
If a young person is feeling lonely and they're isolating themselves, I want them to know that they matter. Someone cares about you. I care about you. I never met you, and I care about you because you're a human. And I care about all humans. I care about the humans that don't do great because I want them to get help so they can be better humans. And I care about the humans that are flashy and popular and singing and dancing on TV and that make us smile. I care about you. There's someone that you matter to, whether you think
Mhm.
you do or not. And it's just a matter. I don't believe in finding people. I don't think you find your best friend. I don't think you find your favorite teacher. I think they show up for you when you're ready to see them. And when you're ready to hold your head up and open your eyes, and I mean really open your eyes, you'll see the other child in the room that also has seemed like they didn't think anyone mattered about them. And the
Mhm.
two of you can come together. You'll also see some of the cool kids that that are showing up like they're cool kids that are also looking at you feeling bad about what they're witnessing, but for whatever reason, they're not feeling empowered to intervene in. Some of them might be your next best friend. You don't know, but you have to hold your head up and open your eyes and hear to yourself, I matter today. I'm worthy of love. I am great and I'm getting greater every day. And I hope they really hear that.
Yes, you're good enough, right?
You are good enough.
Absolutely. That took my breath away, that answer. Wow,
Thank you.
close to home, for many that I know. So for students who are engaging in the bullying behavior, how do we begin to redirect, not just punish that behavior in a meaningful way?
Yeah, we have to bring them in closer. And I know that feels counterproductive for a lot of adults that are managing these children that are doing it because you're trying to keep the other kids safe. And sometimes it's really easy to give up on them. But someone failed them. Someone along the way failed this child. And that child pulled on to their internal resources of survival and said, well, this is how I'll protect myself. I'll be extroverted, not necessarily in a happy ham way where I want to always hug and kiss the teacher or be next to them, but I'm gonna be extroverted in an aggressive way because something in me said if I do that, it'll push all the other harm away. And we need to bring them closer. If we can bring them closer and let them also, and we need to address where you feel so unsafe because they feel unsafe inside. Something is happening. I'm not blaming their biological parents or their caregivers because that's not always the issue. Sometimes it's the kid down the street that bullied them and they didn't share and they're bubbling up inside and the parents are like, I don't know what's wrong with Donovan. I've been doing everything. We have him in all the sports. We put him in all the things. We buy him all the clothes. I don't know what's wrong. There's something going on that Donovan is not able to communicate. And if we can pull Donovan closer, sometimes that closeness does not look like, hey, tell me all your problems and just talk to me, because that's very adult. That's very adult thing, adult strategy. Although you always ask the question for sure, but they may need to write it out. They may need to listen to some music. They may need to do a poem or a sketch artist or paint it out. There's other things, and in many cases, dance it out, right? Like there are other ways for them to communicate. So sometimes once you pull them in and you've tried your normal resources, if I've asked the clarifying questions, I've ran through my checklist and made sure that they weren't experiencing abuse, like I've done the checklist of all the things as the mandated reporter, the adult that's in the room. Now, let me look at them at a child developmentally appropriate age. Okay, Donovan is 11. Donovan, when's the last time you picked up some crayons? Do you want to color with me today? Just sit with me for 5 minutes and color. I'm an adult and I love coloring. It's so therapeutic, right? You color whatever you want. And in the beginning, Donovan, who's still feeling unsafe, who doesn't know if you're really a person for him that's just trying to get information so he can get in trouble and you're going to tell his parents or whatever the case is, he may throw that crayon across the room. He may say, kick rocks with these Legos. I don't want to do any of that stuff. It's okay. 5 minutes at a time. Let's come and sit. Notice all I'm doing is building blocks. Notice all I'm doing is coloring and asking you, how was your day? Oh, I like your haircut. Oh, I didn't even notice you had a mole there. Wow, that's pretty distinct. I have one too. Looking for similarities. They're little people are still little humans, right? And as a little human, they want to be recognized, they want to be seen, they want to be appreciated, they want to be validated, and they want to be edified. And the edifying is the empowering, affirming words that we can give. They're just like us, just little with little regulation systems that haven't been developed. And we need to give them time and patience, but we're not going to do it if we push them away. We got to pull them close.
Definitely. So, Dr. Naketa, when you first learned of We Don't Do That Here,
Hmm.
I've been told that you wondered if it could be shared faster and more widely through a video production.
Yeah.
When you saw it in person, you realized that it must be experienced firsthand through a live stage
Mhm.
production. So
Mhm.
can you describe how that revelation hit you and what was your experience?
It hit me like a hammer, LaTrice. As I'm, as we're in this century of everything has to be packaged in a way that's palatable and digestible and, get it to as many people as fast as you can. I was definitely entering into this space with, okay, I get what you're saying that this has to be done, but if we do a really well recorded version of this, I don't understand why the experience wouldn't translate just as well.
Hmm.
And it is the difference between seeing a live theater play versus seeing the TV version of that. Both are good, and there's a place for both, but one is one you will never forget. One will come up in your memories when you are 95 years old, and the other will disappear. And the one that will come up in your memories when you are 90 plus years old is the one that you experience those vibrations coming through the floor that we were talking about, where all your senses were immersed in it. And when I experienced it, I was gobsmacked. I was blown away. I really thought it was too short. I was like, that's it? Are we going to do more? Are we going to do another round? Because it was so exciting. It was also really hard for me and all of my specialness to not get on the floor with them and start moving around because you feel pulled in. You literally feel pulled in, not to just to the performance, but the message. It's almost like we're all about to go to a big protest that we're all very anchored to. And I don't want to sit on the sidelines. I want to participate and show you that I agree and I want to be a part of it too. It really does pull you in a way that's almost indescribable. And as you already know, LaTrice, from previous conversations and board meeting stuff, I'm pretty verbose. Like I have a lot of words, and I was running out of words.
Wow, that's beautiful. So, Dr. Naketa, if you could leave every student who experienced, we don't do that here, who experiences, we don't do that here, with one truth to carry with them, what would that be?
Hmm, that's a powerful question. One truth to carry with them. I really want to come back to you matter. And if I had to really frame it, you matter more than you know. Some things just have to be experienced. And I really hope that they live a long, fulfilling life. That's my prayer over my own family. Long, fulfilling, high quality, joyful, relationship rich life, because that's what matters at the end of the day. And I really hope that every human, those that are performing it, those that are witnessing it, those that are hearing about it and curious and want it at their schools and want to know what it's about, that you just hear, you matter. You matter so much more than you know.
And on that dynamically powerful note, I just want to thank you, Dr. Naketa Ren Thigpen. Let me get the name right, Dr. Naketa Ren Thigpen, for joining us today. Beyond the stage, the experience, the impact, real voices. It has truly been a pleasure talking to you. I could go on and on and on with this interview. Thank you for taking the time. And back to you, Connie.